Money work. El mundo quiere dinero.
Yeah, I know.
Money work. Se arregla con dinero.
SE Project branding logo that's on here.
Money work. Si me quiero educar, dormir en algún lugar.
Really cool. And we're also gonna change the kickstand knob, guys. Alright, let's take a quick look at the
Hopefully I'm all good, guys. I rolled over something.
Solo un par de gente se lleva el botín entero. Money, pasa verdadero. Si tienes lo verde siempre llegará primero. Pero yo Lunes. Money work. El mundo quiere dinero.
Yeah, I know.
Money work. Se arregla con dinero.
SE Project branding logo that's on here.
Money work. Si me quiero educar, dormir en algún lugar.
Really cool. And we're also gonna change the kickstand knob, guys. Alright, let's take a quick look at the
Hopefully I'm all good, guys. I rolled over something.
Solo un par de gente se lleva el botín entero. Money, pasa verdadero. Si tienes lo verde siempre llegará primero. Pero yo Lunes. Money work. El mundo quiere dinero.
Yeah, I know.
Money work. Se arregla con dinero.
SE Project branding logo that's on here.
Money work. Si me quiero educar, dormir en algún lugar.
Really cool. And we're also gonna change the kickstand knob, guys. Alright, let's take a quick look at the
Hopefully I'm all good, guys. I rolled over something.
Solo un par de gente se lleva el botín entero. Money, pasa verdadero. Si tienes lo verde siempre llegará primero. Pero yo Lunes. Money work. El mundo quiere dinero.
Yeah, I know.
Money work. Se arregla con dinero.
SE Project branding logo that's on here.
Money work. Si me quiero educar, dormir en algún lugar.
Really cool. And we're also gonna change the kickstand knob, guys. Alright, let's take a quick look at the
Hopefully I'm all good, guys. I rolled over something.
Solo un par de gente se lleva el botín entero. Money, pasa verdadero. Si tienes lo verde siempre llegará primero. Pero yo Lunes. Money work. El mundo quiere dinero.
Yeah, I know.
Money work. Se arregla con dinero.
SE Project branding logo that's on here.
Money work. Si me quiero educar, dormir en algún lugar.
Really cool. And we're also gonna change the kickstand knob, guys. Alright, let's take a quick look at the
Hopefully I'm all good, guys. I rolled over something.
Solo un par de gente se lleva el botín entero. Money, pasa verdadero. Si tienes lo verde siempre llegará primero. Pero yo Lunes. Money work. El mundo quiere dinero.
Yeah, I know.
Money work. Se arregla con dinero.
SE Project branding logo that's on here.
Money work. Si me quiero educar, dormir en algún lugar.
Really cool. And we're also gonna change the kickstand knob, guys. Alright, let's take a quick look at the
Hopefully I'm all good, guys. I rolled over something.
Solo un par de gente se lleva el botín entero. Money, pasa verdadero. Si tienes lo verde siempre llegará primero. Pero yo Lunes. Money work. El mundo quiere dinero.
Yeah, I know.
Money work. Se arregla con dinero.
SC Project branding logo that's on here.
Money work. Si me quiero educar, dormir en algún lugar.
Really cool. And we're also gonna change the kickstand knob, guys. Alright, let's take a quick look at the ring.
Hopefully I'm all good, guys. I roll over something.
Solo un par de gente se lleva el botín entero. Funny, funny, pasa verdadero. Si tienen lo verde siempre llegará primero. Pero yo.
There we go. What's good? Mike is in the building, and welcome to another Freestyle Sunday. Everybody, very excited to actually be in the building. Very excited for tonight's guest. It's going to be Jack B. Quick. You guys know him, or if not, you should know who he is. A very cool individual. Has a slew of motorcycles that are extremely amazing, out of this world, out of my stratosphere, but really cool to actually have him on and talk about overall motorcycles, road racing, and him enjoying the streets of Texas. So for now, we're going to do what we always do, guys. We're going to show love and support to the people that comes and tune in on a Sunday, on a beautiful Sunday, actually Sunday night. That's 80 degrees out here in New York. You know how it is. Oh, my wife just told me I sound low. Let's confirm that real quick. There we go, boys and girls. Do I sound a little bit better? She's my co-pilot, making sure that everything is always spicy, on point, which I'll take it. Should sound pretty good now. Let me know if it does or not. Yeah, boy, I'm trying not to bring the mic into the frame. I want to make sure that it sounds good. Much better. Okay. I'm not going to do the intro over, if you guys know that. So that's going to be kind of foul, man. I appreciate everybody tuning in. Very excited for tonight's guest. It's going to be Jack B. Quick out of Texas, Austin, Texas, guys. He has a slew of motorcycles. We're talking about the entire rainbow in terms of spectrum of rides that you want to ride. We'll talk about the ones, his favorite ones. Does he have actually a dedicated specific track bike or anything like that? Much better. Oh my God. I totally just stopped just to read that. And if you notice, if I am sweating, it is hot. It's 80 degrees out here in New York, but super, super excited to be on, guys. And thank you to everyone that's tuned in, taking their Sunday night. 80 degrees out here in New York. It's the perfect weather to actually go out and ride and enjoy the night. So thank you for tuning in instead with me tonight. So let me just quickly pull up everyone's greetings and say what's up to everybody before we kind of dive into it. There we go. Did all my little pre-flight checks a little bit earlier today, making sure that everything's going to work up to par. By the way, guys, if you do have any questions or comments you want us to reply to or answer during the stream, we are able to do that instead of waiting towards the very end. Early on in our streams, I used to do all the comments in the end, but a lot of people got overlooked because there were so many. So kind of figured we'd kind of be going through it as we're going through the night. So we have Jack in the Box. What's up to you, sir? As you guys know, he's a YouTuber as well. He did go down maybe a couple of weeks ago, and he's doing a rebuild of his bike, man. Hopefully all is good with him. Doesn't look like anything bad happened to him, except some physical damage on his bike. So good to see you on, man. We have Governor D. Nice, usual suspect, always on the stream, and I always appreciate him being on here, man. Thank you, sir. So we got Wifey's here, of course, saying how hot it is and humid. Yes, you're going to see me wipe my face every now and then because it is hot, man. Usually I do it off camera, but it is what it is. Cezanne Moto is in the building. Always good to see you, sir. A pleasure to have you on the stream. One of these days, I'm going to have to get you on, man, so we can chat and just kind of hear your stories as well. Let's see here. Steven Turner's in the building. Man, you know what it is? I really like going to... This is probably one of my favorite parts of doing the stream, really seeing people coming on and then returning people and then new people just joining in and watching. So it's always very, very cool just engaging back and forth with anybody. If you have any comments or questions regarding anything, feel free to drop them in the live chat, or you could put it in the comment section after the stream. We'll come back and reply to it. Bud Tussino. Hopefully I am saying that correctly, man. Oh, yo, what's up? Have you checked out Revzilla Brooklyn? Yeah, man. So I actually did go to Revzilla Brooklyn. It's beautiful, actually. It's actually nicer than the, how you call it? Was it? It's in PA. What is it? Philadelphia's Revzilla location. Way nicer, way larger. They have a ton of like racing memorabilia, motorcycles in there, and tons of options. I didn't do a video there because I thought it'd be very cliched. Everyone's shooting a video at Revzilla and stuff. Plus, they're not paying me, so we don't do videos if I'm not getting paid for it. We don't roll like that on this side. But yeah, it's definitely a dope spot, man. So Revzilla, if you want to hook up and do business, please let me know. I'm not being greedy, guys. I'm just being real with it. There we go. Let's see what I got. Says on this year, I'm definitely down and honored to be on your stream. Yeah, that'd be really dope, man. I think it'll be a cool conversation as well. We do have somebody, a new face on here. Echoes. Oh, it's nice to see all the bikes line up. I'm guessing he's referring to the Revzilla spot, man. Really, really cool. All right, guys. I'm probably going to come back and just greet more people as they come along, because as you know, more people tend to come throughout the night and stuff like that. So for now, just want to kind of take a quick moment to give a big shout out to the stream sponsor. As you guys know, Motivation USA is the home of where I buy most of my parts and accessory for my motorcycles. I guess I shouldn't say buy. These guys are a sponsor of the channel. They do provide the parts for me to be transparent. I do have deals working with the company, but they are a sponsor of the channel, and that's where all my parts and equipment and tools, all that stuff comes from. So really, really big deal. Let's see if we kind of quickly pull up the exhaust. Let's see how fast my connection is. But they are the place to shop. Never a dull moment. If you order something, you'll get it fairly quickly, and amazing customer service. I also do produce content for their channel as well. So let's take a quick look at the site. Tuners, exhaust, carbon fiber wheels, pretty much anything that you're looking for. By the way, they are an exclusive distributor for SE Project Professional Racing Exhaust. So if you need any of that stuff, if you want to support me and you want to support the channel, you want to see more streams, more content, more travel videos, that's where you want to do it. You're going to hit the link in the description and grab your parts. That's all we ask, right? Sure. Truly appreciate it, man. And lastly, we're going to talk, actually, I shouldn't say lastly, Hard Knocks Coffee, guys. It's owned by a writer himself. They provide coffee for MotoGP. Really, really dope to kind of promote this company. Just don't want to kind of put the person's name out there, but they're big onto motorcycles, and they support the channel as well. If you're looking for coffee for yourself or family or friends, you want to get a small gift, great way for you to support the channel as well. You could always hit that link. All right? Really, really, really cool. All right, man. We did the bill stuff, so we're going to dive into this really, really quickly. I just want to kind of show you guys one more thing. I just want to say a special thank you to Futurist Moto. They are also part of the channel, guys. I always have to promote them. Again, I don't mean to be taking all the time to kind of do this. Celebrating hitting 20,000. They did send some really cool goodies. Hopefully you guys could make these out. Oops. Wrong side. There we go. There we go. So what are we seeing, guys? I'm going to be doing a major giveaway from the channel and Futurist Moto. If you're rocking a Panigale or Ducati, you want to get their super clean tail tidy. It comes with all the equipment, all the brackets. I'm going to be giving that away for free. We're going to do some merch also, and possibly some Rizoma parts, since we just hit 20,000 on the channel. Again, if you want to help, share the content, share the channel. The more we grow, the bigger we can do these giveaways. You guys are seeing people giving motorcycles and stuff. So at some point, we might even get to that space if you guys allow me or help me get to that. So definitely subscribe and thumbs up. That always helps. But I will be doing a pretty big giveaway for hitting 20,000. So stick around. I'll probably give the details in a future video of how I'm going to do it and draw people. But yes, enough of that. I'm just going to quickly jump back to the comments just to make sure everybody's good before we go back to it. let's see here. Jack in the Box, of course, Bud Tussinell, Steve Turner. Yeah, man. Phillips. All right, cool. Still the same guys. So let's bring on Jack B. Quick, man. Really, really cool. Very excited to have this individual on for a lot of reasons, man. Not just for the bikes. I think his story is going to be very interesting to hear. So let's warm welcome to Jack B. Quick, boys. What's up, sir?
What's going on, everybody? Hey, Mike, what's going on, brother?
Everything is good, man. Just want to say a big thank you for taking the time out of your Sunday to come and sit down with us for about an hour and chat up about the stream and motorcycles and pretty much everything that's on the table, really, to be honest, man.
Yes, sir. Well, I appreciate you having me, man. And I want to say congratulations on 20K. I heard you say that earlier. That's a big milestone to hit, man. And you're doing great things with this podcast, man.
It's been a long time coming. Very difficult road, but I think for me, it's just not stopping and really staying consistent. Right. And it's tough, man. I've gotten to some points where I'm like, I'm pretty much done with this. It is very difficult, and for me, once I start something, I find it extremely difficult to just walk away, unless it's for another reason. I mean, I did have some time where I was off YouTube, but that was because I had personal family stuff going on. But it's very difficult to walk away from something that I'm passionate about, or at least really want to succeed. For some reason, I can't take no.
Man, you're doing great already, man. It's gonna work. It's gonna happen.
Yeah, man. So what's good with you, man?
Nothing, man. It's a hot Sunday evening in Texas.
At least you're out there inside the house. It's nice and warm, man. I have a detached garage, and I usually host everything out here, so it's kind of warm. But it's all good. It's all in good fun. Yeah. Man. So you have an amazing lineup of bikes, man.
Oh well, thank you. Yeah, let's talk about it. Right? What's going on?
Yo, you are one of the only people I know that has a bike lineup that rivals Eve. I mean, we always kind of somewhat reference him, but it's just, I think you're the only person I have he's the only person I have a comparison thing here with.
Well, I wouldn't say rivals Eve, man. To be honest with you, Eve has been the inspiration behind it.
Okay.
I've been following Eve since I want to say 2015. And I've seen a lot of his growth, and he motivated me to, make some moves myself. So, I give credit to him for where I am too right now, because he pushed me to, really get into the YouTube. Because every time I watch his stuff, I'm like, damn, he's doing something else. Let me get motivated too. Let me get on, some of these moves and make things happen. So, I wouldn't say it's a rival, by any means. I'm really truly inspired by the way he moves around in the community, and again, I find the motivation in that too.
I agree, man. I agree. I think he's inspired a whole group of people to kind of step into the scene and kind of walk. I guess more like I'd say pave the way kind of thing, and everyone's kind of somewhat doing their own thing or a derivative of it, which is really cool. And as off camera, I was mentioning to you, it's kind of really cool starting to see more people joining in the community, more people writing, more people rolling out content, whether it's for a financial gain or to blow up and make that their sole career, or just really uploading their story. So I think that's a cool thing.
Yes, sir.
Mm-hmm. So walk us through the bike lineup you have, man. That's something that I think everybody should know, because a lot of people tend to not get the gist of it, man. Because I know you have an H2, which is awesome. BMW. Just tell us, man. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I own a 2016 BMW S1000, 2020 BMW S1000 with the M package, 2018 Ninja H2, and I just picked up a Honda Triple R 5-blade SP. And I got something else cooking up in the lineup, which I will not mention just yet.
Yo, I feel like a peasant once you talk about that lineup. You're like, man, I got this one, I got that one, and you ain't got that either.
No. You shouldn't, man. I always tell people, man, a lot of people say, "Hey man, I want to be just like you." And I always tell them, "No, don't do that, man. Be better than me,
Yes,
because
sir.
I want to see you, you know, take it to that next level. You know, if you find something in whatever anybody else is doing, you're inspired by them. Try to push yourself to take it to that next level, so they can, be proud of you, your accomplishments." So
So you know what's very interesting. So guys, I'm saying if you're watching, or if you're watching this later, what's dope about Jack B. Quick is that wherever he's watching, whether he's on a roll race, right now he's on the stream with us, and I met him out in Nashville, same vibe check, nothing changed, same down to earth guy, just chill, laid back, showing love to everybody. That's one of the dopest thing. I think a lot of people, you get a certain amount of energy when you see them on YouTube or you see their content,
right,
and then
right.
you see them in person, and then you get different versions of someone. And I think that's kind of cool that you're the same all across the board, and that's what you see is what you get. Very chill, all about riding and having a good time. Nothing crazy. That's dope.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man. I think I surprise a lot of people too in person, because I am very laid back, very chill. I'm not a loud person, and always wanted that the center of attention. I think YouTube allows me to do that,
Hmm.
but without YouTube, you wouldn't even know I exist.
So I'll tell you this, man. Don't be too much of that. A
Yeah.
little bit, because how do you call it? I'm not gonna say his name because I feel like we're gonna refer to him multiple times. In the beginning, I think if I listened to him in the beginning, I think my channel would be a lot further. And he mentioned to me, closed mouth doesn't get fed. So being a little too,
Reserve.
reserve about it can actually play against you, which is kind of dope. But in the same space, you still gotta have a little bit of out there. Even now, I struggle with the same thing
Yeah.
too. I try to because I feel like there's a fine line with boasting and kind of pumping your chest out and just being humble. This is a very fine line you could teeter against. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, and yeah, I agree with you, man. Because before I even got serious with YouTube, I struggled for a couple of years because of that. No, I was always very reserved, very chill. I think I went a good 2 years where I never took off my helmet at any events. So I
Oh
would go
wow.
somewhere, I would go somewhere, go race, come back home. That was it. Nobody knew who I was until they start seeing the videos, and everybody's wondering, okay, who's this guy? And I had this Deadpool helmet that I used to wear all the time. And that's how I used to roll. I go to the events, go race, and then I go home. And I used to beat a lot of guys that really changed the narrative for me here in Houston. I'm in Houston, Texas. And a lot of people used to wonder, who's this guy in this Deadpool costume that's beating everybody and just takes off? And then eventually I noticed that my channel was suffering because, the attention span wasn't there for everybody. Like, the not knowing was exciting, but it didn't keep them around long enough to really stick with me through, throughout my whole channel, the growth and stuff. So I had to switch that around after a couple of years, and that's when Jack B. Quick came about.
Yeah, man. It's so funny that
Yeah.
I had gotten the same feedback too, because in the early on for me when I was doing YouTube, I didn't show my face very, very early on, but I got the feedback like, hey, you should let people know. Well, basically, it's more like, I guess, let me phrase that correctly, because I'm putting it more in a general term, but I want to kind of exactly make the point so people can actually get the reference. My wife was like, hey, you should really show people who you are. So that way they can relate, or at least understand from your perspective, because you get context when you watch somebody. And I was like, no. But I think my biggest reserve in the beginning was the fact that I was not like your traditional Caucasian guy that was riding and moto vlogging. It was very few black guys doing it, and I'm like, shit, would people like align with me, or at least understand? Because that was one of the things in the beginning. I think was more like, shit, because they might not know who the person is, and they could you're more likely to feel like you relate if you don't know who the person really is, or you have a general idea.
Correct.
And to be honest, it ended up working to my favor, really, almost to the point where companies wanted to work with me because they saw that I was a real person, and the way that I carried the channel. So for me, that kind of worked hand in hand a little bit. It worked for my channel. Not that it's gonna work for everyone else, but yeah. But it's definitely changed my channel a lot.
When did you start your channel?
My channel was, I'd say maybe 5 years ago, or 5.5 years ago. I did the channel a year before actually going live, and I started doing my logo, and I started just laying out the overall idea of what I wanted to do and concepts and stuff like that. But I never released my first video was a year after doing the channel, and from there, it was just, I was being a hard head, more like I wanted to do creative stuff. I didn't want to do what everyone did, and not knowing and understanding how YouTube worked. I felt like, hey, if I get creative and do some of the stuff I'm passionate about, that's gonna work. And I was wrong. I was very wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Well, that I mean, YouTube is a challenge in itself, man. A lot of people don't realize that. So there's so many elements involved trying to even, I guess, maintain a YouTube channel, whether it's for financial gain, or just for personal reasons, or just for the love of doing it. There's still a lot of challenges behind the scene that you're gonna have to deal with. Like even at this point, I've been doing YouTube since 2015. There's still a lot of challenges and a lot of obstacles I haven't broken through yet. So but show must go on.
Yeah, I mean, I think early on, what I think is really dope about channels that are just starting out, which I really, really like, and I miss that a lot. When you're starting out, or let's say you're in between 0 sub to 5,000 subs, you can explore your options. You can do anything you want. You can be as creative as you want. You can do all kind of rides or whatever. It's one thing that's great about YouTube. Once you build your niche, what you're good at, and what people love about you, you kind of stick to it, which could give you burnout, which can kind of make your channel become repetitive. And I was always very fearful of that. I wanted to do something different weekly, like a different production, a different thing about motorcycles, and that did not work for me. But I really like that stuff. But I feel like when I get to the point where maybe I'm 100,000, 200,000, I could really be creative. I could produce something once every 2 weeks, because I'd rather spend time and do something that's really put together, buttoned up, and stuff like that, not just like clickbait and very quick. But I've learned really quickly it's not about that at all. So when you get to the point where people know you or share your passion, they'll listen. But for now, you have to kind of fall in line.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Again, identifying the type of content you want to put out. Yeah, that's one of the biggest challenges too. Because most people don't know, I spend more time in the garage than I do riding. Because I love to tinker. I love to take things apart and figure out how it works. I'm always like changing my setups on the bikes, and taking it apart, putting it back together. And I spend a lot of hours in the garage. And then you see the videos of me riding. It just looks like that's all I do is just ride for the most part. But I'm always in the garage tinkering around.
Here's a good question for you. That I do know you do a lot of your own work, and I've seen a lot of the videos where you kind of, working on tuning your bike, or either you've done helmet reviews. You've done a lot, which is really interesting. Do you find that it's starting to eat up your time on riding time, creating YouTube stuff?
Yes, it does. It does, because well, for one, I have a family to take care of first. I have my personal life that I need to take care of first, and YouTube is kind of like my hobby that's on the back end. So if I spend most of my time in the garage doing how-to videos, then I really don't have much time to go ride. So I kind of have to space it out. I'll probably do a how-to video one week, or one weekend, and then the next weekend I'll do a ride, or you know, keep it rotating that way.
Okay. So
Sometimes I have to try to get as much content as I can get within that weekend for the next several weeks.
so walk us through some of your walkthroughs. I think people tend to not have any idea what it takes when you see. And it's weird, right? You could do a ride video, you could do a SmackDown video and it does extremely well. You could do a video that you feel like is going to help people, like a walkthrough, like you said. The amount of work it requires for you to do it and do it well. Just walk us through that. Tell me how long you take to do one of those.
Ooh, let me see. So I think the last video, how to video was a I did a chain swap, and man, that took me, I would say, about 3 days to complete. And it wasn't because of the time it took to do the work. It was just, I'm a one man show. You know, I'm the whole video crew. I'm the maintenance crew working on the bike, and I got to put all that together. So you know, it took me about 2 days to record the material, and then I'll say probably another couple of days to actually edit and put it all into a video that made sense. You know, where it had a good flow and showed everything that you need to pay attention to while you're working on this project.
Yeah.
So yeah, it'll chop up some time real quick.
Yeah, those are extremely difficult. You know, I think those videos tend to not get a lot of love, but what's great about them that people watch them today, or they might miss it today, they'll watch it tomorrow, maybe a year down the line. It's something that's always being viewed as the bike either get more popular, or someone is buying the bike 3 years from now, and then they're just kind of using it as a reference point. But what's interesting is that doing those projects every now and then, I don't know if you've done this, but I've done it, stupidly so, where I thought I hit record, and I didn't, and I did some work. I did like 10, 15 minutes worth of stuff, and then I realized that I didn't.
Yeah.
And
oh man, that happens all the time.
Yeah,
man.
oh, see, I'm not the only one, man.
You're not the only one, man.
So I got a solution, which is kind of great. I got a remote now, and I distinctively know when it's on and when it's off. But I would find myself putting everything back and redo it, because at some point I was like, you know what, I could just skim over that one thing that I didn't record, and I would regret it forever. I'd be like, damn, I wish I didn't do that. So now I find myself putting everything, bolting it back on, not really torquing it, just like putting it back on and redo it just for the camera. It is the most obnoxious thing ever. You just get mad at yourself for nothing.
Man, when that happens, man, I'm cutting straight to the final product, and I'm gonna talk about that. Because I can't do double the work. After I had spent hours trying to put this thing together to backtrack, yeah, that's not gonna work, man. And sometimes you can't backtrack. Like if you like putting on the chain, once you put the rivets back on,
yes,
and you secure that chain, make sure it's in, you can't backtrack. Then you're gonna have to buy new rivets. You're gonna have to do the whole thing all over. So only thing you can do is just explain what you did and then move to the finished product.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of tips. Okay, so I guess we might as well just kind of make this a tip section for me. At least for me, I'm finding early on I used to hit record and just kind of shoot. Then I, leveled up a little bit. And I started doing multiple. So I'm doing multiple clips because I would have huge amount of gigs of footage that I kind of got to go through. What I do is now I do them like intermittently. If I miss one section, it'll just be one small thing. I would find where I would shoot like 15 minutes, 20 minutes of something first. That is the biggest error ever. Just increments of like 3 to 6 minutes. If you miss something, you're not missing much. Yeah. So
another thing too, since we're talking about tips, if you're trying to do a how-to video, make sure that it's something that you are either familiar with or something you're capable of doing within a reasonable time. Because if you try to take on a project that's bigger than you might be there for several days or weeks until that video finally comes out.
I've been there. I've been there. I've been there, man. I've been there 100%. You know what's happened to me? My personal experience. I've started a project, not that it was too big to take on. I realized, oh man, I need more tools. I don't know if you've been there too. It's like, it's a lot more complicated working on your bike than you think. You know what I mean? I think a lot of people look at the whole stealership and things not working out. It's very different because what happened is, I do like a pre-flight check, just like how I do it for the stream before starting out, before doing a project, before I shoot anything. Understanding torque specs, making sure I have the torque wrench. I did some small project where I needed like a small torque wrench because it only takes, you know, you could hand tighten it because sometimes anything that's like 10 Newton meters, you could probably just guess it. But I'm one of those freakos. Like I'd be on a turn, like going in, like, I wonder if that's coming loose. You know what I mean? So I'd rather actually do it right.
I'm with you on that.
Oh man, those what if moments for me are just that's because it always happened at the worst time. I'd be on the highway on the FDR or on heading to the mountains, and I'm like, I look at the tack and it's like 98 miles an hour. I'm like, wonder if I talked that down right. You know what I mean? Because
speaking of miles an hour, man, what's your top speed?
My top, nothing like yours, man. You're pushing like 200 plus, where your dash will blink. I don't know, man. My highest would be probably 168. That's light for everybody. 168.
To me, that's almost like halfway through the race right there. 168.
168,
man. Like the most I've hit on GPS was 212.
212. Jesus, man. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. You know what it is? Shit, man. I'm trying to think of the right perspective to put this on. So, first off, it's pretty scary, man. Once you start hitting, like, after 150, I think there's that innate thing, that little fear that strucks a little bit. That's the one thing. The second, I think every year that passes, every birthday, I'm like, I think 110 is good. You know what I mean? It's like the speed starts going down.
I think I'm getting to that point,
right?
man.
Right.
I'm kind of proud of that number, so I'm not trying to get beyond that right now, or ever at this point. You know, if it happens, it happens. Everything's gonna have to check out perfectly on the bike. But when I hit that number, I didn't even know I hit it until I went back and looked at the footage and clocked the GPS on it. And I'm like, oh my goodness. Well, I was a little faster than what I thought.
See, I think once you kind of get used to it, I think you don't even see it and you don't get a general idea that it's happening. But the thing is, I think my mind be playing like tricks on me and stuff like that. Because I think it's not even about the speed, really. I have this idea now in my head that, hey man, when you go out there, you should go back home the way you went, the way you left. And also, I don't want to be a burden to my family if something goes down or something. These are some of the things really. I don't know if it really is the speed, but I think maybe I'm just becoming more mature about it. Because before I get on the bike, do whatever the hell I want. Like, we would roll through Southern State. This is a highway out here in New York, which is really nice at night. It's pretty quiet. There's really no troopers or anything like that. It'd be blasting. Like, where it would take me an hour to get home, we'd get there like 18 minutes. You know, not really even thinking about it.
Yikes.
Yeah. Not even thinking about it. So, you know, I think that what's happening is just that one small thing is like, hey, man, you know, because I'd be mad at myself. Like, let's say if somebody were to hit me by mistake or something like that or whatever, something happened, I could deal with that. Like, knowing I was just being dumb, I'm gonna be mad at myself forever. You know what I mean? So it's one of those things. It's just odd, man. I don't know. Maybe I'm just getting old.
Yeah, I mean, I've had my war wounds in motorcycle riding. So I've been down before, you know. My wife, she knows this is what I love to do. So of course, you know, we got to make sure insurance is on point.
Yes, sir. You know what's so funny? I think a lot of us never talk about that. I think that's something that's a great thing to kind of bring up. I always tell people, you know, if this is what you're passionate about, if you want to do it and you care about your loved ones, you probably should set it up where if something does happen, at least they'll be good. Your family, your kids, or whatever, you know, whatever you have set up. So I think that's something.
You heard it first here. You know, you're hearing it from me. If you're gonna ride motorcycles and take risks like this, get you a good life insurance policy.
Yes.
And I'm not an agent, so I'm just speaking for myself.
Well, you know what happened? It's that it's kind of like, it's not a bright and fuzzy thing to talk about where people get excited about the speed, the bikes, and stuff. But it always appeared pretty dark. It's like talking about a prenup when you're getting married. You know what I mean? It's not dark. It's really prepping. You're not saying that's going to happen, but think about it this way: at least your wife or your children will be good. You know what I mean? So I think it's a cool thing. Which we won't stay on that because it's still pretty dark. But get your shit together if you're out there.
Yeah, get it together, man. It's fun in games for the most part, but we all know there's a bigger purpose for us being here, so we have to be around as long as we can for our family. So
yes, sir.
You know, whatever you can do, make things better for them. Then
give me 1 second, Jack. I'm just gonna pull up real quick in some of the comments. There's been a couple of super chats. Want to see what's up to everybody on that. Give me a second, and we'll get right back to it, man. Hopefully, you guys are enjoying the stream. Really having a great time having everybody on tonight, man. Very, very cool. And like I mentioned a little bit earlier, man, I definitely recommend you hit up Jack B. Quick's channel and give him a sub. His channel is going to be in the subscription box, by the way, guys. Hold on. There we go. That took a second for it to transition for me here. Just populate this real quick. Dude, my computer is like a workhorse doing all this, man. If you guys have any idea how much it's doing, shout out to my computer. Oh, man, just managing all of this stuff. All right, I just want to say thank you to Solo Rider 82 for the super chat. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. And Ducati Fan Florida. Always great to see you on as well, man. Really, really cool, guys. Also, there were a couple of questions on here I wanted to quickly pull up, and so we can answer. I think it was for both Jack B. Quick and I. Oh, yeah. But Tussino mentioned him regarding showing face. Blockhead has managed to be successful without the face reveal. Do you think he'd grow more if he did show his face? Is there a disconnect with the audience if you do not? Well, if you don't, he wrote, but I said do not. That is a great question. That's a good question, you know. For me, it's kind of tough to say. I mean, Jack, you heard that, right? It's he's referring to Blockhead. So I think there's a couple of factors here for Blockhead where he rides a Harley. I think Harley's very American, you know, very Americana. And I think most people know, you know, his let's say his ethnicity. You can see his arm. He's a white guy, right? I don't know for him if it matters because he's built his brand about not showing his face, and it worked for him. I don't think that works for everyone, but it's kind of few and far in between. I think old school YouTube where you did not ever see the person and you had a general idea, where you build your own image of what you think the person is. I think that's going away.
Yeah. Well, I think if you've already developed a platform and a pattern of not showing your face and you're still able to build that audience, I don't think it's going to make a difference if you show face. But if you're starting on, especially in the times we're in now, you almost have to show face because people want to relate.
Yes.
Somehow. You know, you may not think that you'll make a connection, you know, by showing your face, but sometimes that's all it takes. You know, they might want to see how your expressions are, how excited you get by whatever bike or item that you're presenting on YouTube. So I think it's important to show face and be interactive with your audience.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree. You know what? Now, while you were answering, I kind of gave it some thoughts. I think Blockhead would be way bigger if he did show who he was, because there's a level of connection. You seeing someone, seeing their authentic reaction. Guess what else? Just really connecting. I think there's a disconnect somewhere that I guess it's the mystique, right? It either helps you
Right.
or it kind of takes you back a little bit. But I think it would definitely help a lot more. But if you noticed, he knows this as well. In my personal opinion, he has an entire staff around him. He has I think his social media lady that's with him. He shows her. He has his other team members. I think like 2 other guys. He shows them. So he kind of bounce off his emotions off those people, his reactions to like a helmet review. You would see the girl get very excited. I think he's using that as a reflection of himself to convey that exact
Right.
emotion to people.
Yeah, yeah, I agree with you on that.
Yeah.
It'll definitely be bigger than in that sense. A
Absolutely.
good example I could give you, um, if you look at an audio book, right? You listen to an audio book. There's only a handful of people that may relate or be interested in the audiobook.
Mhm.
As soon as they put it on a big screen into a movie, it's almost like the whole world knew this was a movie that existed already, or they gravitate to it, whatever it is. So I think giving people a visual, something they can relate to, you know, it's almost like having an image is tangible. Like they can access to it, they can touch it, they can relate to it. So I
Yeah.
think it's important.
I agree. So let me ask you this quick question regarding your bikes. I know a lot of your bikes are set up for road racing, and you guys are fast, man. Like you have to. I mean, seeing this stuff on clips is one thing, but I've seen it firsthand. It's astoundingly fast. Like I'm riding over 100 miles an hour. You guys pass as if I was standing still. That is just wild. So, do you have any of your bikes are actually set up just for like everyday riding? Because I know I've seen you. Was it your H2 you had when you came to Nashville? It had no seat. It has no.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that was just wild.
No,
I'm like, oh, shit.
no, that was a was it H2? Yeah, it was the H2. Yeah,
Yeah, it was your
it's
H2.
it had like a padding on it to keep you deeper into the bike. That way that wind go over your head when you leaned in and you go full throttle. So yeah,
Oh,
it kind of helps the ergonomic and the aerodynamics of the whole riding. But yeah, the H2. Now as for the H2, that bike was already set up for big races. When I bought it, I just kind of gave it a little bit of improvement, refreshed it a bit in order to bring it back out to the road scene. My 2020 BMW, that has been my number one weapon since I got it. I think I want to say I was one of the first that really max effort that bike. And then a couple years later, you started seeing other 2020 S1000s making that same type of setup. But that bike, the way it sits, you can still ride it as a daily rider, right? You can still hit corners. You can still like anything that anybody else can do on a regular bike that's not set up. You can still do that on that bike, and then you take it out to a roll scene or a dig scene, and it's gonna perform very well in that category. So, and I say that because there's a lot of misconception behind having a setup bike. Like when people see that you have rotors and brakes deleted, your bike is lowered or stretched, that you completely destroy the rideability of the motorcycle, when in fact it's not true. You know, now you're not going to be dragging knee on a lower bike. or you're not going to be on and off the brakes into some corners on with bikes with a bike that has brake delete and rotor delete.
Yeah.
I mean, we all know that, but you can still enjoy the ride like an everyday bike.
Well, here's the thing. I was gonna
And for
actually
my
get.
oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. Go ahead. I was actually gonna get to that. By the way, guys, so you know, I know Jack mentioned this very lightly that he did slightly stuff to the H2. It's not slight. We're talking about carbon wheels, tune on there, extended swing arm. So we're talking about a very over-the-top bike that's pretty costly. Probably, I'd say, if you were to calculate on there, you're looking at another good 25 grand plus to get it to extra. He glazed over this, but it's really not that. There's a lot that is done to that. I saw it out in Nashville. He had the like a greenish tint carbon wheels on there. It's absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
And it's nothing like what you see, regularly. But like you mentioned a little bit earlier, there's somewhat of a negative connotation, and I think even myself shared that, before really kind of getting introduced to the scene and really meeting people, talking to everybody. For people that are watching this that don't know, these are purpose-built motorcycles. They're not meant for your daily riding. It's not like you go buy your R1 and you and your buddies pulling some rips on the highway. We're talking about anything and everything that's not a need. We're talking about horn, both disc brakes, right? Extend the swing arm to keep the front down at first gear. We're talking about a lot. Everything just gets scrapped. And then it becomes a dedicated bike where you guys just dedicate road racing to, right?
Right. So the idea is power to weight ratio, right?
Okay.
Everybody wants to maximize the power to weight ratio. So if you can pull as much as you can off of the bike that you don't really use for the race, then that's the idea. You get the bike down to as light as possible, and you try to put down as much power as you can with your tuning and in your setup. So if you're able to do that, then you're hitting speeds that's beyond the average rider's capability. Yeah.
Now here's the thing, right? Those bikes have no nannies, right? Because I know your H2, you can't ride that bike without any nannies. Keep it down. Is that stuff deactivated too, or no?
Wait, it has what?
The nannies. So basically, all of the aids, all of the computer aids.
Oh man, to be honest with you, all of my bikes still function as they do, and I ride with all of my rider aids.
Oh wow! Wow.
My ABS still work. And on my 2020, ABS still work. Traction control, everything still works just fine. But it's the way that I set it up. Now I can take it to that point to reduce weight and remove, ABS pump and other things, but I don't see it being necessary with the amount of power it makes now to get to that point. Okay. But yeah, all of them function the same. My aids too. I keep everything on. All my rider aids stay on when I ride it. And of course, it could be faster if I either cut them off or delete those items, but I don't see it necessary with the amount of power that it puts down.
Or you just lose like 20 pounds. Same thing.
I mean, I can't lose any
I don't
more
think
weight,
you can get any slimmer, fam.
Yeah, I'm already almost jockey size. I'm 150, 155 range, so I can't lose any more weight.
Nah, man. It's like I said, it's baffling seeing how fast you guys go, man. It's nuts. But I wanted to ask you this question. You're out in Texas. You're in Austin, Texas, Circuit of the Americas.
No, I'm in Houston.
You in Houston,
Texas.
Okay, so
yeah. Do
you ever do any track days on Circuit of the Americas?
No.
Oh my God! I can't believe it.
No. Hear me out. All right, I don't think I've ever been interested to do a track day, right?
Okay.
Until last couple of years, I've met some people that really hyped it up. I don't know if it's because of time or just just the interest wasn't there because I felt like I had so much riding to do on the street. So I would go hit my corners, on the street, do my straightaway pulls on the street. So it's like, okay, what's the point, right? But now I'm seeing how important it is to even have a track day or do a track day because a lot of the guys that I know that does track days, it's they tell me that it helps them improve their skill overall. So, which is the reason why I got the triple R, thinking that I would eventually do a track day, but with how the world is going on right now with all this COVID stuff, and I just haven't found the time, man. It's actually just easier for me to just hop on Sunday morning, go ride, and then come home. But it's coming. A track day is coming.
Well, there's a layer of complexity when we're talking about track days, and no, it's just that I've been invited to go back out in Texas to ride that, and we're gonna link up when I come back to Texas, man, for sure. We have to.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And I'm definitely gonna be riding that track. So I'm gonna have a bike, and I'm definitely gonna ride that track. And the thing is, I think there's a level of complexity when we're talking about doing track days. You have to have a truck to trailer your bike or bring it safely, at least do all the taping and everything else. You have to make sure you have money to cover it. You have to have tires. There's just a lot, and you got to have a certified suit. There's so much layers to peel back. I think a lot of people get discouraged, but just like what you heard, I heard the same thing, the experience you're going to have on the track, which I think Kels is on the stream right now. He's done it several times, and that what you learn from there can go a very, very long way. So I think it's definitely something that to explore if you have the means.
I think that's another part that kind of kept you away too, because there's so much you have to do to prepare for a track day. And one thing you failed to mention is the having somewhere to stay. You got to make sure that your bike is secured.
Yes.
It's just the costs start adding up, and I always found it was easier to just go hit the street and then come home. Everything is right there for me.
You know what I think? I don't know if anybody actually does this, but I mean, it's pretty far-fetched. Just an idea. I'm just throwing an idea out. It'd be great if there was some kind of subscription base where, let's say in your town, they did have a track. Like, let's say, hey, man, let's say if it's $1,000 for the year or $2,000 for the year. You offer a place where people stay and leave their bikes and stuff like that, and it's a package kind of thing. All you need to do is your tracksuit, maybe you have your bike,
of course,
and then I think you would see a lot more people just hitting the track a lot more often. I think also when you start reaching a point where somebody has finally made it to a point where they could go out and buy a bike that's becoming a lot more expensive. We're talking about any nice bike now that you can get. You're spending between $20,000 to $30,000. If you really want any one of those current bikes, you're going to be in that ballpark. It's very hard for anybody to say, "Hey, man, I'm going to take that to the track."
Yeah, I'm glad you touched on that too, because just about everybody I've spoken with, they don't suggest taking those types of bikes to the track. The idea is to bring something that is more affordable if you cause a lot of damage.
Yes.
You go down, get some for a couple grand and then go flick it, and you can even push it harder than what you think you would on the more expensive bike. So I don't know, man. I wanted to use the Triple R specifically for the track. I don't know, it just hasn't come around, so I'll prepare for that, and then I might do 1 or 2 track days with it, but then I know for sure I'm gonna have to get a dedicated track bike.
Yeah, I think that's the thing though. Most people, if they could wrap their head around, which has happened to me too, where it's like, hey man, doing fine. I'm just gonna get, because initially when I bought my Hyper, I was like, I'm gonna get a small dirt bike, a Sumo, and just kind of beat it around, and end up getting another really nice bike, which made it difficult to kind of do that. But if you could spend like $3,000 on something that's a beater, I think that's the most ideal. That's kind of like the entryway to actually have that bike that it won't bother you too much. You know what I mean? Not dumping like your H2 like, oh my God. So That's
That's kind of the direction that I want to go with it eventually. But I know I want to try that triple R, man, on the track, because the way it handles on the street, uh, Honda really stepped their game up. I know they always been very I guess nimble and flickable, but now they make power, so it's like a different level now. But yeah, I want to try that bike out, and then I already know that I'm gonna love the track because I haven't spoken to one person yet that didn't love going to the track. Um, but I know I would need something dedicated for that purpose.
Yeah, I agree. By the way, I
Yeah.
do think Honda has a special bike on their hand. By the way, I think that bike is really dope. The only issue that I think Honda has at the moment, they don't have the clout.
Yeah.
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 They have Marquez
Now,
on there.
let me ask you
side.
this.
Yeah, go ahead.
Let me ask you this question. With what I do with these bikes, do you think a max effort triple R would kind of build some of that clout? Because I already get a lot of hate from my other bikes on the way they're set up. So
Yep. You know what it is? Hold that thought. Hold that thought, and we're gonna backtrack. Don't forget what you just asked me, because somebody just asked a similar question. Let me just quickly pull that up. Hold on one second.
Okay.
Let's see here. I'm just gonna quickly pull this up because it's perfect transition for. I think Saison Moto just asked this question. Just gonna pull it up real quick on the screen, and then we'll answer this exact question and go back to yours. So. I need to totally set a hotkey for just this only, but let's see. I wish I could filter everyone's name really quickly and find it, but Saison just asked a very good question. Here we go. Ooh, I thought I had it up too. There we go. Regarding YouTube, I went from a 2020 Yamaha R1 and traded that bike for a 2021 BMW S1000RR, and my sub count started to drop significantly. Anyone on here ever experienced this? So, which is somewhat in the same realm to what Jack just mentioned. If you don't mind, drop your sub count in the chat, just to kind of get a general idea on how I can tackle that question, in my personal opinion. I think what tends to happen when you're... Actually, let me bring Jack back in as well. If you answer with the sub count, I'll be able to put that up as well. YouTube is a very tricky place. Not just for YouTube per se. It's a very tricky place, but what we do is like very niche. If somebody start watching you now, they're used to watching you on one brand of motorcycle, which is an R1, very popular. People knows. These are the four bikes people tend to really know. Ninja, right? Whether you ride or not, everyone knows what's a Ninja. It's a Ninja. And then you hear the Ducati, the rich guy. So that's like, that for sure. Ninja, and then you have the Yamaha R6 and R1. Whether you're a rider or not, everyone knows brand, and they relate to them. So you have a lot of people that tend to kind of look at R6. It's like their entryway, and then the R1 is where they've made it to the very top. And I think you probably either garner a lot of following with the R1, and then when you went to the BMW, a lot of those people were there for R1. So
yeah. That's exactly what happened. You had the audience that favored Yamaha, and you bring a new platform in front of them. They're like, okay, what is this? How did this happen?
Exactly.
If anything, you probably should have add on. But if that's not the case, you want to make sure that whatever new platform you transition to, there's nothing that would prevent you from gaining that audience and keeping the ones you have now. And you had to make sure that there's not existing material for the platform that you're introducing to your audience now. So if you go into BMW, you got to look at what kind of content is out there on BMWs that that hasn't been tapped into, and that has to be your new thing. So I know for me, there's only like a handful of bikes that I would consider to get for YouTube purposes. So I know if I try to get a ZX10 right now, it's not going to move anything on my channel because the community is so saturated with ZX10 content, Suzuki content. Now, Yamaha, there's not many people doing too much with the Yamaha platform, but I know the BMW, a lot of people doing the BMW content. So, if you're making that transition, you have to find something that's not being done with that platform already in order to find that growth.
So
that's my take on it.
This is kind of a sad thing, and it's one of those things that bothers me about YouTube. By the way, if anybody's tuned in, and well, whoever's watching this now on the live chat, first you definitely got to hit the thumbs up on here because it helps a lot. You have to sub to Jack Be Quick. We definitely want his channel to grow and really start fanning out because I'm telling you, he does a lot of really cool stuff, heads to a lot of the meets, and very supportive of other people. And we want to spread the love, man. Next, please, if you can, go to Cezanne Moto's channel, subscribe to him. This dude came from 900 subs back down to 700, and I know that feeling when you're going backwards. It is not fun, not cool. So definitely show him some love, man. Help him get back to his 900 to 1,000 where he was, because that's not cool. So to kind of reference to what you're saying a little bit earlier, which I kind of dislike with YouTube. Originally being on here, I preferenced this by saying I like being creative, I like producing work, and it's kind of sad for me to see that him getting rid of one brand and he's losing out so much, and then you also reference to saying, hey, if you really wanted a ZX10R, you really can't just get it for the content if you looking at it in that perspective, because in real life situation, most people could either can't afford one of these bikes or could only get one, and if you have to tailor what you're doing based on what people really want. And hence why, for me, I've always been one of those people. I took an L at least getting Ducati. Ducati's not the most popular bike you can get. Now they're becoming a name to be reckoned with, the Panigales, the V4s, and them winning with a lot of GP, and then you seeing it becoming more common. But in the beginning, my bike was, I really stressed that my content was really about me, about my city and stuff like that. It didn't blow up, but my bike wasn't like the bike, you know what I mean? I was whipping around with a monster through the city and stuff like that. But it was what I love and what I wanted, and I did it for myself. I didn't do it for anyone else, and I wasn't doing it for clout chasing. I really liked that bike. It was one of the things that, when I was in school and I was broken, I was like, I want one of those, I mean? I wanted to be my thing. So, and I did it. I didn't really care what I got out of it. And I've preferenced this even till now. I much prefer for my channel to become known for me and what I'm passionate about and what I share, instead of the specific brand that I endorse.
Right.
Because you end up being in a box, and it becomes very difficult. For example, even now, this is somewhat happening to me in the back end. I have Ducati lineup, right? I had a stream where the CEO of Ducati was on the stream, and questions did come up like, "Hey, what bike are you planning to get?" Because I am getting a super bike, and to be honest, I'm really interested in the BMW S1000R. I really like that bike. It's really easy to ride, very fun. I like the fact that you can connect, to your phone and stuff like that. But YouTube-wise, at this point, it might be foolish to separate off from Ducati.
Right,
20K in, growing, and most people know it's like a Ducati-centric thing. So I'm pigeonholed a little bit.
Yeah, so by the way, the BMW would be a great bike to have. You also have to be careful on how you make that transition too.
Yes.
So if you're going from Yamaha and then boom, you flip to BMW and that's what you're introducing, it's not gonna work. It may work, but 9 times out of 10 it won't. Yeah. So you kind of have to, make that slow transition. Keep the Yamaha content going a little bit, and then you kind of segue the BMW into your formulas, into the content that you want to put out there, until the BMW start picking up that pace for you over the Yamaha. So that's probably something that he could have done when he was preparing to buy the BMW. Kind of get the BMW name in the mix while he still owned the Yamaha, the R1.
I mean, there's so much science into YouTube. I mean, that's a great tip. I was gonna mention this as well. You want to kind of coax your viewership into what you're gonna do. Like, for example, you could just say, "Hey guys, I'm rocking the R1. I know you guys love it. What's your poll on getting a BMW S1000RR to this other bike?" Like you it's almost like you're planting the seed of what's going to happen, and
Right.
as if you're giving a choice. Really, there's really no choice. You know what you want, but people are expecting it. For you, yours was just like a cold cut. Like, hey man, we're going from R1 BMW, baby. That's how viewers view this. It's like, what the fuck? This guy is. I love R1. You know what I mean? So that's what happened.
Yeah.
You want to kind of softly guide people into what you want. Like, hey, here's a poll of what I'm getting next. What do you think? Let's say if you're getting the bike within a year or 6 months. 6 months, you want to already preemptively like, hey, what's your thought on, every video you're releasing, what's your thought on a BMW? I'm considering having this on here, blah, blah, blah. You can even say, I might have both. And then you probably can't even really have both. And you say, oh man, I really love this bike so much, I'm transitioning to it. I'm just going to sell the R. You know what I mean? You have to, this YouTube thing is a huge game, dude. I mean, you have to play.
Sir.
Yeah. Either you play or you do not, man. So, so where do you see the channel going, Jack? What's your plan? Do you want to do this full time, or do you want to just keep it as your hobby? Like, what's your overall idea?
Yeah, I for now, I think I want to continue as a hobby, because I have other responsibilities that I have to tend to. I think once I get to that point where I don't have to work a full-time job, then I can really push the YouTube. Like I said, I know I told you offline, I'm much older than what people think I am. So so making some transitions for like retirement, that's not something that that's too far of a reach for me. So if that happens in the next couple of years, then I'll really push for YouTube, and let my hobby pay the bills, I guess.
So what do you want your channel to be known for? Did you ever? I mean, I'll say I can't say did you ever. What do you consider you want your channel to be with? I struggle with this myself, but I think a lot of time your channel tends to take a mind of its own, where people know you for this bike or for doing certain things. Like, if you were to tailor it yourself, which I think often we try to do, but it takes a mind of its own personally. So what would you want it to be known for? What's ideal for you?
Okay, so before I answer that question, I wanna just explain how I started it.
Okay.
And what I thought it would be, and then I'll answer your question. So when I started my channel, I really didn't have a purpose for it. I just wanted to show myself riding, racing, whatever the case may be. But over time, the racing kind of took over. But for me, I enjoy being in the garage. I enjoy working on the bikes. I enjoy messing with them a lot. So if it was up to me, that's where I would want my focus to be. Just showing and how-tos and doing all kind of different things in the garage. But I think over the years, because of all the racing that I've done, that kind of overpowered everything that I try to put out for content. So most of my videos that get the most traction are my racing videos. Everything else just kind of take a back seat. So now for us, as for where I would want it to be, I think I'm changing the attention to be on just me and showing just my experiences overall instead of just being a focus on racing or bikes. You know, I just want you to come along with me for the ride. So when I take a trip somewhere, I try to vlog as I'm going through the process from start to finish, loading up the bikes, hitting the road, seeing what I see on the road, and get into the events, showing that camaraderie that we all have in the community when we come together. And that's basically where I'm at with the channel, you know, just showing that experience.
Yeah. So, you know, funny thing is that you mentioned you rather be doing how-tos and stuff. Personally, for me too, I share similar sentiment. Two things happened to me. Originally, I wanted to share the ride, which was the main thing I wanted to do, show my city and how things work and stuff like that. Because I went through so many different scenarios. Because, for example, here's a quick example. In New York, there's a lot of spots. But both my wife and I kind of brainstorm. She helps a lot with my channel overall, you know, with editing and giving ideas and really trying to keep things fresh. We went through a concept, for example. Here was one. There's a lot of movies that's shot through New York. I wanted to do a whole series on my channel of, hey, this is where Juice was shot. This is where Goodfellas, like, you know, the scene they shot, and just go over it. And those things weren't just popular for me to kind of do, and they would never really take off for somebody. I thought that would be really cool, but I did. Then you have the aspect of, you know, if you're speeding a lot, you get fines on the road. That's a whole other story. If you do stop, if you don't stop, you do get caught. Right. It's a whole problem. So there's just like so much that went into it that became an issue to the point where I got a ticket. I mean, I always tell the story. I had gotten a ticket in the mountains, and I was 3,000 subs. The town police found my channel, and when I went to court because I was gonna fight and stuff, and they pulled me to the side. They was like, I don't know if you want to do this because just so you know, we know your channel, we've seen it, we could pull up your channel. So I just ended up settling and then just paying off. So that in itself struck a little bit of fear in me, like about what I do out there, especially how I want to conduct myself, because I really want my channel to be able to partner with bigger brands. At least that was one of the things for me. I want to produce body of work, not just like I'm just riding a bike and just doing foolish stuff. And I do like doing product reviews and stuff like that, because I feel like it really allowed me to highlight certain aspect of professional skills that I have outside of YouTube that I could kind of merge it. That way it doesn't feel like I'm doing something completely different. But again, those are not the very common thing that kind of takes off. So I think I'm still in the space of that. And I guess
but at the same time too, I think we also have to consider what's going to attract the audience too, because most people want to see something that they're not able to do.
Yes.
You know, if they see us always in the garage tinkering around, and like, yeah, I could do that too. I can just go out, you know, start messing with my bike too. So I think that element in itself, you know, even though, you know, you getting a ticket, I'm pretty sure that, I don't know if you made a video on that, that probably would have gotten more views than anything else that you probably worked on in the garage.
Back then, man, I was too stupid and naive for it.
That's because they want to see things that either they wouldn't take the risk of doing, or they know that, you know, they're not capable of doing.
Yeah.
So those things really get a lot of views and get the channel going. So.
Well, the initial thing is really getting it to where you want it to be, and then you could really slowly, I guess, softly guide them or transition them to what you really, really want to do. Also, one of the best things for me that happened doing work in the garage or reviews, it really opened up time, because I found myself, when I would go out there, I'd be recording content, or I'd be with people, I'd be recording. It became a little bit of a pain in the butt. Everybody's ready to go, I'm fixing my camera or whatever. So I really started segmenting off, and when I go out to ride, I just really went out to ride. And it's one of the biggest transition for me. Now I separate my writing from when I'm doing a video, most importantly.
Right. Yeah. You have to, man. You have to. If you ever get caught in that moment, man, you kind of have to be in your own world at that point. You know, just let everybody. Okay, y'all go ahead and roll out. I'll catch up, and you know, just restructure the content that you have in that moment, because you might come up with something amazing just you out there by yourself.
Yeah.
So I get a lot of that too, because a lot of these group rides, sometimes everybody else be ready to go, and I'm still trying to, you know, cut my cameras off, put on my gloves and all that. And next thing I look up, I'm sitting there by myself. So I got to tell a story. So has happened many times before.
Yeah, man. So quick question I have to ask you. Because when you have a lot of bikes, you know, it's always tough. Which one's your favorite one out of those? I have to ask that.
That's an easy question, man. My 2020 BMW S1000.
You're a BMW guy at heart. I saw a video of you before of hey, Dario was trying to get you to buy a Ducati. And he was like, you gotta go over. You know, he's super passionate about his V2, which is really dope. And he was like,
he
nah.
actually took me out to a shop, man, and test ride the I think it was a V4. And I mean, I enjoyed it, but BMW has done some things that are truly like next level, man. Like I don't think the rest of the motorcycle industry has caught up to what BMW is doing to these bikes. And I could talk about them all night. So, but yeah, they're doing next level stuff.
Yo, do tell, because I'm just gonna preface this by saying this now. I believe Ducati's where Ducati's at because of BMW. And I'll tell you why.
Let me give you one. I'm gonna give you one example.
Okay.
Which is a mind-blowing feature that the new BMW has.
Oh, I know what you're gonna say.
Sure
I know what you're gonna say. Go ahead.
What is it?
You're gonna say
that
say you could run 93 fuel, and then you could run race fuel, and it's okay. That's big.
Dude, that whole closed loop technology they got going on.
That's dope.
That's next level. Now, the reason I say that, if you go to a race meet, right, you'll see a lot of guys pull out their laptops and, you know, tuning softwares loaded up and all that, right? They got to plug the bike up. Oh, let me switch my map for race gas. Boom, switch for race gas. That doesn't work. Oh, let me switch for E85. Or let me switch back to pump. With the Beamer, with that closed loop system that they have, I could dump pump gas in there, go do some pulls, go race, burn that out, come back, race gas. I'm not changing anything.
Yeah. That's pretty impressive.
I'm not, you know, that's crazy to me that no one else has adapted to this technology. And here we are 2 years later.
No.
2 years later,
I will tell you why BMW has that heads up. Okay? BMW, right? It's Bavarian Motorworks. They're a car company. And car has that tech in it for the longest time. So you're seeing bridging the gap between what the knowledge that's known by BMW from cars for them, their M line, moving into the bike stuff. Now, if we were to go towards Ducati, you're seeing a slow transition of the same thing happening to Ducati from Audi, which is the owner of Ducati now, or at least part of that umbrella. For example, old Ducatis, their wiring was pretty chaotic. All that stuff's been streamlined, the LED headlights and stuff like that, and you can see there's a trend between all their line of motorcycles happening. Basically with them hooking up with Audi, they're streamlining everything. And you're seeing similar thing that's happening with BMW's, you know, their cars happening to the bikes, which is basically they're streamlining all their research into all of their projects. So to say that, like I said a little bit earlier, Ducati is Ducati because of BMW. I think BMW came in hot. You don't see them in MotoGP. You You don't see them like competing with the tops, right? But what's happening is that since they don't have that as a pedigree, they can do what they want. So, for example, your cruise controls,
right.
You see them having adaptive OLED screens and stuff like that, being able to connect all your pieces and stuff like that, your phone and everything else.
Yeah.
So, if you noticed in the old days, Ducatis were good bikes. Actually, they were really good bikes. The problem was they were race bikes.
Mm-hmm.
When you would get them on the road, everyone would complain about the same thing. You have a lot of character, which is great, but that's designed for like track riding. They never thought about the streets. You know, Italians think, oh, we make race bikes. They're fast. They're great for cornering. It's hot. Doesn't matter because you're racing with it. BMW came for a road bike. They came for a perfect bike that can be sold to anyone and everybody. And Ducati said, you know what? That's what the V4 should be. And that's why they're winning now.
Yeah.
And by the way, shout out to Dude Mungus. He's in the chat. He had a 1299. Was it 1199 or 1299?
1199.
1199. And his was pretty hot. Those were one of the race bikes too, by the way.
Yeah, that's a good person to get on the channel, man. He'll be able to express more about making that transition from Ducati to Suzuki. So that would
too big,
cover.
Man. He's not gonna mess with us.
What was that?
He's too big. He's not gonna. He's like Dude Mungus. Dude Mungus. I don't mess with the peasants. We're never coming over here.
Nah. Dude, that's actually my guy, man.
He's good peoples, man. We met in
I met him a couple years ago in Atlanta, and we've been cool ever since. But yeah, you're spot on with your explanation on BMW and Ducati, what Ducati's trying to do now. But I've always thought like BMW was just so far ahead of everybody else with the technology that they implement into their bikes, and I think that's one of the reasons why I'm so stuck on BMW. You know, I wouldn't necessarily say I'm a fanboy because I love all platforms, but when I start to break down every single element in what I find important in a motorcycle, I don't see anything topping a Beamer. Even the previous gen, a lot of these other platforms have not caught up to the previous gen. You know, so yeah, BMW where it's at for me.
I don't think you would do well to get a Ducati, I think, especially being out in Texas. It's hot.
Oh yeah, I've already experienced that, man. That heat is different. I got to ride the Superleggera back in 2020. No, 20 was it 2020? Anyways, I got a video on YouTube. I did a video with the Superleggera versus the H2R. Yeah, both of those bikes were, you know, like top of the line, super fast bikes, but I still wouldn't get them over the Beamer.
Yeah. Oh, you know, you have history with them, and there's specific reasons that you like about them, and that's what's beautiful, I think, about just motorcycles. You know, you can find what you like, the styles, and what tends to happen is, I always tell people, is whoever gets you first tend to have this innate thing on the inside that no matter how far you stray, you get an H2, you get an R1, you love those, but that BMW is gonna be there in the back end. You're always gonna backtrack to it. It's one of those things you become brand loyal almost. You know what I mean?
Well, let me tell you the story about BMW for me too. Well, let me backtrack a little bit. My first bike was actually a Kawasaki. I had a Kawasaki ZZR, and then I made the transition to a Suzuki 05 Suzuki Gixxer 1000, and I held on to that for a good 4 years. And I was on the market for another bike, and I started looking at the Gen 4 ZX10. And then while I was doing my search, I would always see ZX10 versus BMW. I'm like, okay, let me see what this BMW is about. And dude, the races and the runs I would always see, I'm like, man, why is this ZX10 always getting walked on. Like this doesn't make sense. Because I always thought the ZX10 was the fastest thing at the time. And then I was like, you know what? Let me look into this Beamer. So I finally made the move on the Beamer back in 2014. And I had been riding for years prior to that, doing all kind of wild stuff, right? And the Beamer was the only bike I went down on.
Oh
The
wow.
only bike I went down on. And I felt so defeated, man. I was like, there's something special about this bike that I don't know. Because I thought that it would ride like any other bike, but it didn't. And that kind of pushed me to, um, I guess, learn everything that I could about the Beamer. And that's what I did. And since then, I've owned 7 of them.
Wow. Holy hell. By the
Yeah.
way, power wise, I like the BMW S1000R all across. I'm not a huge fan of that the split personality look. The newest
Yeah.
one, the one you have with the symmetrical, I think that's really dope. I think that's the best
Yeah.
looking bikes for now.
Yeah. I've never been a fan of the asymmetrical headlights either, but I think that's one of the things that made it unique.
Yeah.
So it comes with the bike, I guess. You just got to accept it. But I didn't. It didn't make sense to me. Like, why have one big headlight and one little headlight? But if you look at all of their bikes uh, within that generation, they were always consistent with having asymmetrical headlights.
Well,
Even some of their
yeah.
yeah. Even if you look at the naked bike was the same way in their what is it? Uh, uh, but anyways, yeah, you get my point.
Yeah,
I lost my
both
train
the,
of thought.
the naked and the superbike, they all have the asymmetrical. But I think in the beginning, I'm not a big fan of it. Still now, I'm not a big fan of it. Now they kind of made it, same, which is really cool. But I think this was intentional. It drew a lot of
Yeah,
eyes. It made it unique enough. It was more of a marketing push. Till today, it's
yeah,
still part of a
and it worked.
conversation. It's either love it or hate it. Um, to the point where there's a build up. I wouldn't say a build up theory, but more just like concept ideas of what people discuss. It's basically the split personalities of the bike and stuff like that on each side. Now it has a whole ethos. So they've done something really amazing with marketing. Whether you liked it or you didn't like it, people are talking about it. It's something that's a conversation piece for the bike, but you can't say that performance-wise it wasn't great.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's really cool. I think it's a win-win
Even
situation
even
for BMW.
to this day, those previous gens are performing with the new
Yes.
platforms and other brands that's out there. Like they'll run with them just like you know they just came out this year,
Well,
which is mind blowing.
those bikes were ahead though. Those bikes were now. They
Yeah,
were older bikes, but they were now. Remember when BMW came out with the whole S1000R? We were talking about was it 15 to 20 horsepower added to what was current, and then everyone
right.
finally just caught up that it's normal. That's why those bikes are able. People are buying the older gens, the 2015, 2014s, or whatever, and you still see them out here with V4s and H2s that they can actually
Yeah,
perform with them. So that's very interesting,
yeah,
also. Yeah. So
yeah. Great bikes, man.
and they'll run forever. Most people will tell you German bikes are pretty good. They won't have any problem as long as you're doing your regular maintenance on them. Which I
Right.
thought that was interesting. Just the other day, I was reading about the BMW, your valves. Yeah, for you to do your valves checks or your valve springs, it's 12,000. I think it's twelve
Yeah,
thousand miles,
12, yeah,
which I was
yeah.
mind blown.
Well,
Go ahead, go ahead.
yeah, yeah. It's between 12 and 15.
Okay.
You gotta bring it back in to get those valve checks and all that. But for the most part, man, the bike it'll run. Like I haven't owned one that I haven't really tried to push the limits on. Every one that I've had, I've taken it to that point. damn near every time I get on the road. So um, I never had any major issues. I think the only one that was down for the longest is my 20, and that bike it was out that bike was out for a good year, and it turned out to be just the wideband sensors that went bad from running MR12 and race fuel. So that would be a maintenance check on my personal behalf, opposed to the actual platform itself not functioning properly. So I mean, they run, man. They run hard.
Well, here's one tip for you guys that are watching. If you're doing racing and you're going to be running race fuel, you will have to change your spark plug a lot more because they burn differently, right?
Yeah, it sure do.
So be mindful if you're going to be doing all this stuff. Your costs actually goes up. But to my knowledge, I thought it was funny that it's only 12,000 to 15,000 before you do your major service. That's Ducati level. I mean, granted, it's going to be cheaper because it's an inline 4 engine. People know how to work on it. You don't have to go to Specialized. But Ducatis are pretty much in the same space. I think now Ducatis are, what, about 18 to 20,000? So
Yeah.
they actually worked on it. Yeah.
Yeah, you still gotta keep in mind that the Beamer is still a premium brand too. So, they're they kind of bridge that gap between the Jap bikes and Ducati Aprilia. So you kind of getting the best of both worlds there with the Beamer.
I'm so glad you said that. Have you ridden in Aprilia 1100?
No, I have not.
Damn, you gotta ride that. Man. That's definitely one of my guilty pleasures. That bike. So I'm told on a Ducati, right? I never hear it. Actually, I heard Eve's bike do it, which was amazing. He started right in the gas station. Sounds like a giant explosion. And going on the entryway into the highway, and you hear the explosion. It's really awesome. But on the Aprilia, you hear the explosion on the bike. I don't know how it's set up. That feeling you cannot. It's just the bad part is that there is no Aprilia support here in New York. There is no dealership. You're basically on your own if you buy this bike. Anything were to happen, you're just shit out of luck or whatever. Or you have to go to another state. So it'd be nearly impossible for me to ever own this motorcycle. But I'm telling you, the feeling you get riding this bike and the sound, and you hear it on the inside. On the Ducati, it's definitely special when you're riding it. But you don't, because 5 Up was telling me on the outside, when I'm passing people, you hear the explosion, the way it's going. And I'm like, damn, you get to experience that from the outside. But on the Aprilia, I'm telling you, that's something you should definitely try. It's a really cool bike.
And I think that would be one of the main reasons to get one. Because, again, that's a platform nobody's really tapping into. So to present that to the motorcycle community with whatever it is that you decide to do at this point, because nobody's vlogging on an affiliate, nobody's really doing any work to them or setting them up or taking them to the track. You don't see that. I don't personally.
I think it's a dealer support. There's only one guy I know that rocks an Aprilia, but he doesn't do it just YouTube full time. He has a professional career and stuff like that. But he does ride with it. His name is Earlster. He's out of London, I think. But I think dealer support, a lot of people are very afraid of it. But those bikes, I love Ducati motorcycles. I'm not going to lie. The Aprilia, though, that engine sound, the characteristic, that is neck and neck, right? I'm telling you, they sound so good. When they turn over, there's a little bit of me on the inside. It's like, it's just
well, that's
good,
one of the ones on my radar, man. I was looking at the V4, the Aprilia. What was it? The new Booster. I like the new Booster.
Everyone talks about the Booster.
Yeah, but that's a platform that's been around for generations now. So I don't see how I would bring anything new to the table. But yeah. I like to take my risk here and there, and I think I'll take a big risk with the Triple R because again, no one's really doing anything with that bike. So I've been debating if I should take it to that level since I got it, and it does everything so well. I'm also hesitant to do anything because once I start butchering it and you know, really putting it down, putting the power down, it's like okay, now what? Now I got to find something else to, you know, fill that gap and start all over. So I think the Aprilia would be a good platform and the V4.
Here's another good
Those
one
two
for
are
you.
definitely on the radar.
Your bikes, you have a lot lineup. You have a lot on your lineup. I know you do some road racing with them and stuff like that, and you're kind of set up for that. Would you say some of your bikes you bought because you're doing YouTube, or mostly all your bikes were just bought because you wanted them? Because that's one of the big things for me.
I think they all were because I wanted them.
Okay.
I think YouTube is kind of icing on the cake, and I'm able to share that with the world. But I've always said if I didn't have a YouTube channel, I would be doing this anyways. So, you know, I might as well, you know, share it with the world. But yeah, if I didn't have it, if I didn't have YouTube, I would still, you know, get the bikes that I wanted. So,
Yo, by the way, you know what's so funny? I forgot to tell you about this, yo. This is off topic, guys. Just so you know, this is just a little small gem for myself. You and my older brother has the same vet.
oh yeah,
Yeah, my older brother has the same vet you got. His is like silver, and yours is yellow. By the way, so you know, guys, he has a Corvette, really dope, dope car.
Nice. Oh
yeah.
no, I ended up selling that car, man.
Oh, you sold it? Oh man, that's my
yeah,
older brother's pride and joy, man.
I had a big issue with my driveway, getting up and in and out of my driveway with that car, man. And I just got tired of all the work just to go out and drive it, and I sold it.
Oh
so
wow!
Maybe in a couple of years I might get something else. So,
what do you think of the new Z08? Is that the one that's coming out? Z06?
Z06?
Z06, yeah.
The C8, it's beautiful. It's a nice car.
Oh, he has a little hesitation. I want to hear what this is all about.
I mean, I would still get a C7, man. I like the front engine look.
Okay.
It has more presence. The C8 kind of blends in with the super supercars, and it's like the little brother in that category,
yes.
right?
Yes.
Whereas the C7, C6, C5, everybody know that's American muscle. That's you know, it has its own presence. So
I'm an American muscle guy myself too, man.
Yeah.
For me, it's a ZL1 Camaro.
Oh man,
I love that. I love that.
That's a big boy too.
Big boy with the muscle. Oh, I love that right there. But I had to pull that up. Every time I would see your car, it's like my brother's is silver and yours was yellow and stuff. And I'm like, oh man, he has the same car.
Yeah. I loved it, man. I wish I had it in the manual too. So mine was automatic, so I didn't, you know, I didn't have as much fun as I thought I would with it. But I think if I had a manual, I probably would have kept it longer than what I did.
I think it's just tough though. I think once you get into bikes and you really enjoy your motorcycles, no matter what car you get, I think it's hard to kind of get the same feel almost.
Yeah, it is.
It's a different level of excitement, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, because I did try to push the limits in that car. The feeling wasn't the same. So the speed that I hit in the car was like, okay, I could do this in third gear on the bike.
Oh my God. Jesus Christ. Let me just say what's up to a couple of people real quick before we keep going, guys. Guys, I'm really digging this conversation with Jack, man. Really cool guy. By the way, if you tuned in, I would truly appreciate it if you show love. Make sure you subscribe to him. Whether you're watching this now and you're commenting or you're watching this later, hit the link in the description. Show him some love. Help his channel grow. He truly deserves the growth, and he's been making his way through YouTube by partnering with a lot of people and doing a lot of really dope videos that I think that you can see the growth. If you watch him as a video in the very beginning till now, there's a lot that's changing, a lot of growing. So I think it's always cool to be part of that early on and show love. But just want to say what's up to Easy Rider Moto. He's in the building. Dude, Mungus has been here for a little bit, but we didn't say what's up. Again, these guys you also want to check out as well. Really great to see people that looks like me that enjoy motorcycles that's out here, guys. I know it's not a small thing. I never really make my channel about like race or anything like that, but I'm gonna tell you now, it's very refreshing to go out to Nashville and just meet every single people that's just like very excited and love motorcycles just like me, and that really made it solidify that I'm on YouTube and I'm here to stay, that other people are coming. So that's really dope. Let's see here. I'm gonna quickly see. Randy's Reality's here too. He was also on here the last time around. We have Solo Rider 2 here. Yeah, quite a few people. Usually I pull up people's name on the screen, but just want to keep the momentum of the conversation, guys. If you do have any questions, you could definitely drop it in the live chat, and then we will answer as we go along through the night, man. But thank you all for tuning in. Really appreciate it, man. Smash the thumbs up if you're watching. So, Jack.
Yes, sir.
What else is new with you, man? I know you said you're going to be picking up another bike. Where do you see you going? You don't have to tell everybody what it's going to be, but I'm guessing it's going to be another super bike. And I know it's not going to be a Ducati. I'm just saying.
Well, again, the Ducati is on my radar, but it's not in the forefront. It is on my radar. I have to experience the track in order to know what direction I'm gonna go. Let me put it that way.
Okay. So
I need to do a track day to know what direction I'm gonna go.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna leave that there, man, for sure. So, what would you recommend for someone that's interested in getting into this and thinking of getting multiple bikes and stuff like that? And because I think that's something we don't talk about also. This is a little bit of a gem, having 4 or 5 motorcycles in terms of insurance.
Whoa. Like I said, we touched base on life insurance earlier. So,
yeah,
of course, all of your bikes, you want to have insurance on them, full coverage.
Yes, sir.
Don't take that risk. Don't take that risk because anything can happen. Now, having multiple bikes, it gets a little costly. Yeah, and I don't think people really think about that. They look at the pictures and videos and like, oh, he living his best life, whatever. But, it comes at an expense, because you gotta have insurance. You also have to maintenance each one, and that's what 8 sets of tires that I gotta buy.
Yeah.
Oil changes, and if anything happens in between, you gotta make sure they're fixed. All of them are running. Battery. There's so much involved, and if it's something that you truly love and you're truly passionate about, it won't bother you. But if you're trying to do it to, I guess I don't want to use that term, but for clout, it's going to be a reality check real quick. Yeah, so just tread carefully. Make sure it's something that you really want to be involved with, because the expenses will add up real quick.
Yeah. Do you find yourself you ride some of your bikes more than others? Because my personal experience with having multiple bikes, I think, wow, I do rotate them. You might be right. So yeah, more maintenance, more tire costs, everything goes up. Yeah.
I think for me, now I'm starting to develop a pattern. Now the H2, I can't ride that in the summer. I tried to ride it a couple weeks ago. It's just too hot here in Texas. So I have to wait until the temperature changes. It's a little cool outside just to put it on the street. My 20, I haven't been able to ride it because I thought it was, banged up. So now that it's back, I think that's my preferred bike for just about anything. The blade again, I don't touch it much because I just love the way it corners, and I want to be able to take that to the track and experience that before I start digging into it and really see what it can do. And my 16 is just a known platform that I know and love. So I can do whatever with that bike. So I could ride that one year round. The blade, of course, I could ride year round, but you know I have the 16 and 20 BMW that I can do that with. So right now, the blade is probably where I want to dedicate that to being a track introduction bike. And then the H2 is going to be just, when it's cool out, that's when I'll ride that.
I think that one's a tough one too to make it a track bike only, because that one's coming in hot at what, 25,000? That Honda?
28.
28,000. That's before tax and prep and all that. So you're looking at a good 33, 34. I love when you go on YouTube and people comment like, "Oh, this bike." I speak in general because I don't like to go in specific numbers and stuff. I just think it's really kind of tasteless. I think a gentleman was like, "Oh, this bike doesn't cost 30 grand." I'm like, yeah, with New York State taxes and stuff.
Taxing.
Just because it says $24.99, you're not gonna walk in there with 25,000 and walk out. You have to pay Uncle Sam. You have to pay the, And also, if you really look into it, if you really understand the business, some of these dealers are only walking out of $2 grand out those motorcycles. So it's not a lot.
For me, it was right under 30 out the door.
Somebody just mentioned a little bit earlier, I think XWorks22 mentioned bikes are extremely expensive. I think they're very expensive. I want to actually backtrack to the blade thing, but I just want to make this comment real quick. I think motorcycles are becoming more and more expensive. One, I think with the technology you're seeing in them. Two, I think Ducati's leading this charge in terms of premium. You're seeing the $30,000 mark. You could get a Superleggera before for $35,000. That was the Superleggera price. Now they're $100,000. A regular Ducati that's nice, you're spending $30,000 on it, like a competitive bike. I'm not talking about just like a regular scramble or something like that. So, and that's because once they're doing it, I think every other manufacturer kind of falls in line.
Right.
Yeah.
And we're also living in different times too, folks.
Yes. Gotta pay to play.
You gotta pay to play. So, yeah.
So, I wanted to bring this up real quick though, because I think the Fireblade has a really dope history, and also Honda has Marquez on their corner, and everyone loves this guy. They're not winning now, right? Because I think Ducati has a lot of bikes on the grid. I think 9? I think. And they're doing well. Why do you think that? What's your take on why the Blade is not more popular and doesn't have clout behind it, especially with a name like Marquez rocking Honda?
Well, the Blade hasn't been for years. There has not been a bike that made power, and I think that would be the primary reason. Even for the street, for the average guy, when they consider a Blade, it's not a bike that they're looking to put down power. So that's going to be a very smooth, daily ridden bike. That's gonna, you can find yourself in every element, but it's not a bike that put down power. So a lot of the guys that do what I do, they want power. That's what they're looking for. So they're gonna gravitate towards the bike that's gonna make some power. But I'm not a Honda guy. I don't know too much about Hondas. The Blade was a bike that the Triple R that I got was a bike that I got for a couple reasons. One being, it was different. It was something new. The second thing is, again, I don't see much activity with the Triple R other than what E put out. You're not seeing much activity with that bike, and I think that's why I was like, you know what? Let me just do something different. Everybody know me for BMW. BMW. I think I've kind of exhausted that, you know, that platform, because I don't think there's anything else I can introduce with my content on BMW, because I've pretty much tried and done everything in my opinion. And the Blade was something that was just new and different, and I was like, well, let me do that.
So I asked you this question to lead you down a rabbit hole, which you did go. So
I did.
Yeah, two things. The first thing, I think Ducati. I'm so accustomed to saying Ducati all the time that so is coming out. I really love the job that they did. I believe that they did a better job than Ducati with the winglets. The design looked like it's part of the fairing, so I think that's really, really dope. Now, the reason why I was kind of leaning towards down that road with the Fireblade, I think they have a long history. The brand is very well known. A lot of people love them. There was a point in time I saw a lot of Fireblades in New York. They did one version which I didn't like, where they had the intake in the front. It was like a big hole, and it just looked like you could fist it, which that was my least favorite one. I think their design has gotten a lot better, and the new one's really cool. But my thoughts, the reason why I was asking you this, do you think GP is actually helping these bikes get pushed out? Or do you think people like yourself, like myself, like your dude Mungus, the Ebes, and the Campizis, are the pushers of these products, or at least these brands that influence people to actually go out and get them? Because if you look, like I mentioned before, Ducati has big clout, BMW has big clout. BMW is not in GP, but the street talks.
Yeah. No, I don't think GP really has a big influence on guys like us, the average guy that, you know, that just love motorcycles in general. Because to be honest with you, a lot of folks probably don't know anything about GP, but they know the brand, they know the bike from a buddy that had one, or you know, a friend, or whatever. So I think the big push over the years has been guys like us that purchase the bike and do things that people can relate to. You know, when they see it, they're like, okay, I can get this bike. Yeah, because we'll never be able to have access to the bikes that they put together for MotoGP. That's just not gonna happen. So when you see somebody else that look like you, or that you can relate to, you know, and they have this bike that you probably had interest in, and that might push you, that might be the push that you needed in order to gravitate towards that platform.
So this is just to kind of say somewhat. I mean, I've seen their marketing strategy for the Blade, and what they did was they had Marquez do like a run and give his thoughts and opinion on that bike, which I think what tends to happen, most people get word of mouth, and they see a neighbor, maybe an uncle that rode, and they kind of got into it. I think there's a level that you get into motorcycles, then you start. Usually it's the other way around. You go to the pros, you know what I mean? You're watching, you know, the Jordans, you're watching the LeBrons, and then you play.
Right.
For motorcycle enthusiasts, it starts differently. It's like reverse, right? As you really get into it, you get in depth, then you start transitioning to like, oh, we're going to watch GP. You know what I mean? So it's kind of a reverse, but I think big marketing budgets tend to go towards them, and big brands get to be seen through that lens. But I think really motorcycle marketing is really online business, like e-commerce with regular people that's passionate about it, like what we do in the conversation we have. I think those are a little bit more relatable, like you mentioned a little bit earlier. And this is not to take away from anybody that's a pro, because that's a fascinating thing. You have to be extremely talented to do it, which I am nowhere near. and their bikes are like $1 million bikes. Really, when I was out in Texas,
Yeah.
when I went to the paddocks and stuff, the stuff that they have, how it's quickly disconnected, reconnected. They don't have like a whole wiring harness like we have. It's like it's modular. It's a modular system. It's crazy. So each one of these bikes was like millions of dollars plus or something like that. So, but again, it's a very different thing, and I think where it comes into play here, what we do, I think we're in a transitional period to where somebody like yourself or Eve or myself or Dude Mungus or Easy Rider Motor that could start influencing people. And I think you're seeing manufacturers haven't fully transitioned into that yet because there's no marketing for print anymore. But you're seeing gear, for example, Dainese and Alpine Stars are slowly not putting their marketing budgets behind big billboards or a magazine. It's more like, hey, we're going to reach to this person, and then we'll allocate to that. I think that connects to the people.
Right, because when you really think about it, man, you're able to connect with the average rider that easier that way. You know, if you find somebody that can bridge that gap for you, that's putting out content, it's easier to connect with them that way. Because even with the ads that come through some of your YouTube videos, let's say a Ducati ad may pop up. What are the chances of you actually watching that all the way through? You know, if you're just watching a random video, because you'll just skip that, and then you see your buddy with the same bike. It's like the interest changes at that point. It's like, oh, okay, I just saw an ad or briefly on this. Let me see what this guy is talking about, and then you find out it's a great bike. So I think that's where it's at, and it's going to continue to be that way for a while. The days of having, you know, the glamorous and big advertisement, I think that those days are fading away, man, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like television, really, right? Same thing. People are not watching TV anymore. They just watch YouTube. I don't have TV at home. I mean, I watch. Everything is streamed pretty much. So it's a really interesting take, I think, about this industry, and I think big manufacturers has yet to acknowledge. I know they know because they have the numbers, they have the figures, they're seeing where traffics are coming from, but they haven't yet to acknowledge, because I think to some degree they're going to have to come to the conclusion that some of these people is going to have to get paid for some of these services that are being rendered, in my opinion.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Which goes in full circle about that Revzilla comment I made in the beginning.
Yeah, go ahead, Revzilla. Go holler at my man Clutch First.
Yeah, cut the check. I don't need free stuff. Cut the check.
Cut the check.
Oh man, I'm just kidding, man. I got a good family at Motivation USA, man. So I can't even complain. They take care of me and my family very well, so I can't be complaining. But yes, it's just a joke. So calm down, people. All right, man. I've kept you for so long tonight, man. I really dug the conversation, man. The door is always open for you to come through and sit down and chat. Anything you want to cover before we get out of here? I don't want to keep everybody all night. I know it's Sunday night, so yeah.
I mean, we answer one or two questions before I check out.
Yeah, guys, if you have any questions you have that's been pulled up and you did ask a little bit earlier, just let me know, and then we can just kind of quickly run through and reply to a couple before I get out of here. By the way, if you tuned in, hit the thumbs up. That's going to help me with the algorithm. God knows I need it, because YouTube is difficult, people.
Yeah, I see a lot of comments flowing in, but you know, if we don't get any more questions, I do appreciate you inviting me to your channel and having me, man. You a solid dude.
There we go.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Sorry, we're definitely back. I troubleshoot that super quick. Thank you for everybody who mentioned that. There you go. Connection back to perfect, boy. Oh, I've done this enough time and made enough mistake for me to quickly remedy the situation. So, yeah. So, Jack was just talking. I'm just going to put him back on while I go through the questions or comments, anything that's coming up. By the way, shout out to everyone that kind of mentioned this, and I didn't notice the connection. All right, there you go. You good, Jack?
Yeah, man. No, I just wanted to say thank you to everybody for tuning in and supporting Clutch First. I think what you're doing is very important to the community. It's fresh, it's different, and you're doing a great job at it, man. So I appreciate you for having me. And whenever you're in Texas, just holler at me, man. We'll get some rides going.
Yeah, for sure. I'm going to be out back in Texas, man. We're going to link up and definitely ride. Probably you could show me around for sure because I just did Austin and I did downtown Austin and went to Circus of America. I mean, I just did pretty much most general spots, but to be honest, man, it was really cool being over there. Everyone was really nice. It's nothing like New York, really. And the roads are freaking nice. You can actually ride fast. There's no potholes or nothing. The tax dollars are actually going to something worth it. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
All right, well, again, man, I appreciate you for having me, man. So.
Yeah, it was a pleasure, man. So, guys, there's a lot of comments coming in, but they're not necessarily questions or anything like that. Just before we kind of wrap up, just wanted to say, everybody, thank you so much for tuning in. Really, really appreciate you guys coming through and watching. And we'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.
All right, peace.